Ah, home. Well, that was a fun steam up. Oh, now comes the fun part. Unloading the car. Oh, I have a package. Oh, that's nice. Oh, from England. That's even nicer. I wonder what's inside. I guess we gotta take it inside, open it up, and see what it is. Well, just got back from the cabin fever steam up. This box was on the front porch. So let's dive into this mystery. Actually, it's not a mystery to me because I've been waiting for this to come in. I was actually hoping it would come in before going up to cabin fever, but as usual, it didn't arrive. I get to cabin fever, I get notification, it's on my porch 12 hours later, so had to wait till I got back home. Luckily, it stayed on the porch. So, what do you say we cut into this cake and see what the filling is? Now, if you want a hint, last year in the, I believe it was the March-April issue of Steam in the Garden, there was a little sneak preview of this. And the other hint would be that, well, it came from England. So that means it could be, could be DJB Engineering, it could be Roundhouse, it could be Bowaters Models, it could be Brand Bright, it could be, all sorts of different companies. But in fact, this actually comes from Mamod. So that should narrow it down a little bit for you, because what you're looking for in the magazine, if you're going to play along, is a little sneak preview of something that we found out about through an astute reader that sent a link to a YouTube video. And in that video, there was this really neat looking steam tram called the Kitson. And well, I contacted Mamod about it. I said, hey, can you send me more information about this? And they said, sure. And then the next information I got was, well, hey, it's available. So I went ahead and ordered one because I was planning on writing an article for Steam in the Garden, a little review of this locomotive. But wouldn't you know it, unfortunately, the magazine had shut down. And so this shows up on the front porch, you know, two weeks after the magazine shut down. So here we go. And you can see that it's packaged with the obligatory foam all the way around it. Those pieces are glued together. That's neat. And let's pull it out. Let's see what we've got here. Okay. Yeah, it just pops off. It just was a little tight, being brand new. Okay. So there's two pins. There's a pin here, and you've got two little clips underneath here on either side that holds it in place, and it just pops straight off. Packed inside, we've got some steam oil, we've got a syringe, we've got a nice little funnel in there, cylinder oil, because this does have a lubricator. So let's take a look at the inside here, and I'm going to tilt this a little bit so we can see here. So we've got the fuel tank over here, butane fuel tank. This is butane fired. And then we've got what looks like to be the throttle right there. And they shipped it with it in the open position. We have the safety valve back here, right there behind the stack on this side. Here's the lubricator right over here. It's a displacement lubricator. We've got vertically mounted double acting cylinders. And then this would be our reverser valve right here. Your typical Mamod reverser valve. For those of you who are familiar with that, with other Mamods. We have a, I'm going to turn this around to make it easier to see. We have a water sight gauge right there. Easy to get to, easy to see. I mentioned the pressure gauge. Oh, by the way, the pressure gauge goes up to 80 psi. I'm sure they've guaranteed it all the way up to that. Underneath here, you've got some information, tells you what batch number is. Oh, this came from the 24 November batch. There's a little sticker on here to give you some important information. And you can see we've got, it's geared cylinders, or the oscillating cylinders are attached to move those gears, which then transfers to the drive wheel. And then you've got side rods on either side to help with that. Looking at this, it looks like it's already gauged for O gauge. So the first thing that I'm going to have to do is loosen that up and widen it up and get it ready to go on my gauge 1 track, because I don't have O gauge. You can see the here's some of the little extras that came with. We've got a filler valve to go on a standard, it's a threaded filler valve to transfer the butane gas into the pressure vessel. And then our steam oil, our cylinder oil, light oil for lubricating, a little funnel, and in this little bag here, it talks about measuring for setting the gauge, but they actually send a gauge plate, and you can see there it's 40 millimeters on one side and then the 28 on the other side, I guess is what it is. It's marked here. It's hard to see through the bag. Maybe I should take it out. And looking at the axles, I saw that they actually have scribed lines in the axles for helping to line up the grub screws that are on the axles with the proper settings. So, but you still have this gauge to help you get things set. So that'll be cool once we get to that point. All right, the next steam up that I'm going to is the Electric City Trolley Museum annual steam up over President's Day weekend in Scranton, Pennsylvania, on the grounds of Steamtown. I'll be going up there. That'll be my first chance to actually fire this up. Now, we do have O gauge track on the small track up there, so maybe I'll just leave it gauged the way it is, and I'll borrow somebody's rolling stock to pull behind this. I do have plans. I do have a kit for a double-decker trailer that will go behind this. I just haven't built it yet. Well, let's get steaming.
to see you. What's that?
That's a Mamod Kitson.
Oh.
Got a cute little wiggle to it. So that was a fun steam up at the Electric City Trolley Museum. A great 3 days up there running trains, demonstrating live steam to people. And it was fun to have a representative model from a short-lived era of the trolleys when the carriages that were drawn by horses went over to being pulled by steam trams, or as we say here in the United States, steam dummies. And that brief short period of time, which then gave way to electrification. So it was nice to have a sample to talk to people about that era. Now, the one thing I haven't had a chance to talk to you about is post-run maintenance. Lots of room in here to clean. You know, if you got some oil spills or things that collects on the inside, lots of room to get a rag in there and move around. And then you do have the lubricator here, and underneath there's a cap you can remove and allow the steam oil and water to drain out. Now I found that this is a small lubricator, and after a run, well, it was empty. It didn't collect much water, and it wasn't any steam oil left, so it got used up. So you definitely want to refill before each run. And it's tricky with the cap. Let it cool down. It gets hot. It would have been nice if they had a slot in the screw, so that as you unscrewed it, you didn't have to take it all the way out and the leftover oil and water could just dribble out without having to remove the cap on the bottom completely. But that's okay. I got pretty good at being able to take it off and put it back in there. Other than that, making sure you've opened up the valves to let all the excess butane out. Now, didn't talk much about the throttle here. I found that I just opened it up to where I had a good supply of steam, and then by using the reversing gear over here on the side, when it's midway, it's turned off. There's no steam going anywhere. So I just left this set throughout the entire weekend and just used the reverser to slowly move in and out of steam, because if you've ever looked at the inside or the underneath side of this little reverser, then you know that there's a groove that comes to a point and gets wider and wider to let more steam down to the cylinder. So I just used this to control speed and direction, and just left this open for the steam to go through all the time. If you want to pull the water out, easily remove the water top-off valve, and you can get a syringe in there and you can pull all the excess water out to completely drain it. There is also the bottom of the sight glass. There's a blow-down valve, so you could open that up. This stuff gets hot. Watch your fingers. Especially this little knob right here with that controls the steam on the throttle. And let me tell you, that gets really, really hot. That's another reason why I just sort of left it. But cleanup maintenance is nice and easy. I didn't talk about the spring-loaded buffers that are on each end, but that's a nice little extra feature to have. And cleanup was a breeze. So there you go. Now let's talk about the scale of this locomotive. Well, so Mamod doesn't tell you what scale it is. It's good size and it's nice and chunky. And in the videos, you'll notice that I was running these small little Grizzly Flats LGB cars behind it. And you can see they're really way too tiny for this big of a locomotive. We had other steam trams there. We had a couple of Regners. We had an Ellie. And then we had the Kitson here. And I'm going to pull this out. This is a 7/8 model caboose that a friend of mine made. And I'm going to put it behind there. And you can see that for 7/8, this fits really nicely in size. Now the trailer I'm building for this, the double decker by OCCRE Ocre, I think is how you pronounce it, from Spain, models, it's listed as 1/24th scale. So it's going to, even though it's double decker, it's going to get up to the height that I'm going to want. Its width is narrow. So we'll see how that looks once I get finished. There's 15 pages of instruction. I've gotten to page 2. There's over 300 parts. I think I've only maybe used 75 of those parts so far. So it's going to be a while before I have that project finished. But here you can see how 7/8 fits in and sits really nice with this. If you just wanted to go with some 7/8 rolling stock behind it, I think it, size-wise, it fits in quite well. Well, that's about all I have for this review. Thank you for tuning in. I'll throw some links to the Steam Up. I've got a full Steam Up video from the weekend, and I mentioned the cabin fever that I was at prior to this while I was waiting for this to come in. I'll throw a link up there somewhere so you can go see how much fun we had at Cabin Fever. And what better place than the Trolley Museum to debut this gem of a model from Mamod. I really enjoyed playing with it. I had a good time with it. It ran nice, it performed very well. 20 minutes on an average for a run. One run I got 24 minutes off of it. So, hey, can't complain about that. It's a good sized boiler and it holds a lot of water. It's a good sized butane tank and it holds a lot of butane. So you can get some really good runs. Well, I'm Scott McDonald. Thanks for joining me for this review of the Mamod Kitson. And we'll see you next time on Let's Get Steamin'.
Got a cute little wiggle to it.